Boro's 100% record under Kim Hellberg continued at Charlton, but can they keep the pressure on the top two if they can make it 4 from 4 against QPR? What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Project Boro preview show. Today we are taking a look and predicting Boro's next game in the Championship, which is of course at home on Saturday, and it is the visit of Queen's Park Rangers. And this will be an interesting game because QPR are coming to the Riverside in relatively good form, of course coming off the back of a huge win at home to Birmingham City with an outstanding stoppage time winner, which of course gives everyone a giant lift. It fires them into the top six. They've had a really good run of results of late for the most part, and they will be coming to the Riverside in pretty good nick with quite a bit of confidence and momentum in behind them. But equally, you've then got Boro, who obviously have started really, really well under Kim Hellberg. Not just results, of course, 3 wins from 3 is really, really awesome after winning only 3 of our previous 11. It's not just the results that have been really impressive under Hellberg, like at the start of the season when we were getting results under Edwards. Performances were okay. The performances under Hellberg have increased dramatically since he's came in, and we look like a completely rejuvenated attacking force who looks like they're going to score a bucket load of goals all of a sudden. So we're a very good side in great nick. QPR are a decent side as well in good nick. So it's going to prove to be a really interesting game between the two sides. Can we make it 4 from 4? Well, let's have a little look at QPR because, as I say, they can be a streaky side in spells. They will go through a run of 5 games where they'll win only 1 and they'll draw the other 2 and lose 3 or something. Or they will go through a run of games where they'll win 4, 5 out of 6. That's the current streak that they're in right now. They had gone through a pretty barren spell, sort of October into November. From the middle of October, they had lost quite a few games at Loftus Road, actually, and they were better on the road. It seems like it's swapped a little bit. They're a very unpredictable side. So in October, they lost at home to Millwall. They lost 4 and 5 at one stage. That included a 2-1 home defeat to Millwall, a 4-1 home defeat to Ipswich, and a 2-1 home defeat to Southampton. Granted, a lot of top sides in there. However, since that, difficult spell where they only won 1 in 5, which was a win against Swansea, who weren't doing very well at the time, from the end of November into now, they've only lost 1 in 6, and I think in that time they've won 4. So they're now in a really good vein of form, and in that run they've scored quite a few goals and they've also won quite a few games playing well. They beat Hull 3-2 at home. They then went to Blackburn and won. Granted, Hull are a side who concede a lot. Blackburn are a really poor side at home at the minute, but since they've obviously beaten West Brom 3-1 at home, Birmingham 2-1 at home, but the one defeat in that really good run was against Norwich at Carrow Road, to which they've been absolutely terrible. So QPR can have an amazing result one week, score a load of goals, beat a really good team. They can then go to a Norwich and get turned over 3-1. They can drop in a result like that. So although their run of late has been really, really good, and don't get me wrong, they've beaten some good teams, I still feel like you don't quite know what you're going to get from QPR. Losing to Norwich, I guess the wins they've had, beating West Brom 3-1 at home. I mean, West Brom are struggling at the minute. Birmingham have been a pretty dreadful away side of late. They're very Jekyll and Hyde home and away. Beating Blackburn at Ewood Park, it's kind of standard. So I don't know what to read of QPR's results. On one hand, I kind of say, well, they're expected to win against them teams in that circumstance. But then on the other hand, they are decent results at the same time, so I'd be very intrigued to hear what QPR fans think of their recent run and if their performances have actually been really good. And it's not just a case of they've beaten teams they maybe should have. They're actually improving, because they do seem to be a side who are here one week, here the next, very up and down, streaky you could say. But one thing I would point out in that run that they've had, the really impressive run, a lot of their big wins have come at home. You know, on the road, they did, as I say, beat Blackburn, but then lose to Norwich. So I think their home form of late has been especially impressive. Away, maybe not so much. It was previously, you know, they've won at Bristol City, they've won at Swansea, but I still think if you want to play QPR, I think you'd rather play them at home. If you were going to Loftus Road right now, I think it would be a game that would be a little bit more tricky for Boro, and a game I would feel a little bit less confident in. Whereas at the Riverside, when we've got a really good record at home this season, I'm not sure how good QPR's record is at the Riverside. Yeah, at the minute they're a good home side, not doing too much on the road, but they can flip like a switch, and you don't quite know what you're going to get from QPR. So it'll be interesting to see how they rock up at the Riverside on Saturday. But these results do mean that amongst the really congested area of the championship table from sort of 4th downwards, they are now into the playoffs. They sit 6th in the championship, 20 games played, 9 wins, 4 draws, 7 defeats. They actually have a negative goal difference, which is really crazy, to be honest. -3, 27 goals scored, 30 goals conceded. And taking a little look at their attacking and defensive numbers, again, an interesting side. They sit 9th for goals scored in the championship, so not bad. 27 goals scored, 3 behind Boro at the minute. Their expected goals matches up with that completely. They're 8th for expected goals, and expected goals are 26.6. They've scored 27, so their attacking output completely matches up with their data right now. So they are a top half attack, just outside the top 6, you could say, which I think does sum up QPR. You know, all the sides who are sort of jumping in and out of the top 6 into mid-table are very up and down and inconsistent at the minute, so that's exactly where you'd expect them to kind of be. However, defensively, I was actually surprised to see how many goals QPR had conceded, because their data suggests they're not that bad of a defensive side, but they have been massively underperforming defensively. They should not be leaking as many goals as what they actually have, because in terms of the goals they've conceded, they actually have the 4th worst defence in the championship, which is quite grim reading for a side who want to try and make their way into the top 6. A bit like when we played Hull last week, you know, giving up a lot of goals, conceding a lot. It's going to make it very difficult for you to get results consistently. You're going to have to score a lot in response. Only Norwich, Hull and Sheffield Wednesday have a worse defence than QPR. Obviously, they've conceded 30. Norwich have 33. Hull have conceded 34. Sheffield Wednesday 37. So you'd think, okay, they're a defence that can really be got at, and they do ship a lot of goals. But their XG against numbers aren't that bad at all. They're actually in and around the top 8 or 9 sides from a defensive point of view in terms of the number of high-quality chances they give up. They're 16th in the XG against table, which obviously, if you flip that round, I think has them as the 9th best side in terms of how many high-quality chances they give up. Their XG against is 23.2, yet they've conceded 30 goals. So essentially, the data is telling you they've shipped 7 more goals than what they should have. So I don't know if that's down to them being unlucky. I don't know if it's down to their goalkeeper being quite poor, or teams are seemingly hitting shots from here, there and everywhere, and they just happen to be finding a way past QPR at the minute. I don't know, but yeah, their data suggests, to be honest, that they're not actually that bad defensively. I mean, their XG against is right alongside Stoke, who happen to have one of the best defences in the Championship. So it's interesting to see how, I guess, congested it is in the Championship right now in terms of sort of the XG against. It is very, very tight, and teams can flip around quite a lot. But at the minute, QPR are one of the better sides, I would say, in terms of the chances they're giving up, but they just happen to be conceding quite a lot. So I don't know what that will mean on Saturday. Maybe they will be a tougher nut to crack than we maybe think, but I guess the data suggests when Boro will have shots on goal and will get chances against QPR, the way their season's been going, a lot of them chances for Boro might actually find their way into the back of the QPR net. So a very interesting side from that respect. Looking at their starting 11, they have flipped between a 4-4-2 and a 4-2-3-1. I think they've played a 4-2-3-1 more often than not. Even though against Birmingham midweek, they did play with a 4-4-2. They had their 2 best players and I guess their 2 top goal scorers playing up front as a 2, which, does make sense. But they have got some really good players in the wide areas as well. Whether they play with a 4-2-3-1 or they adopt a 4-4-2 at Boro, we'll have to wait and see. But interestingly, their top goal scorer, or their 2 top goal scorers, are their 2 strikers. One of which will be a player that Boro fans do recognise, Roman Burrell, who was at Boro between 2019 and 2022, I believe. I don't recall if he made many, if any, appearances. Wikipedia says he made no appearances. I mean, Wikipedia is far from the greatest source in the world. But yeah, he dropped down the leagues. I think he went to Scotland, then come back into English football, played for Burton Albion. QPR have plucked him from the League One side, I think they are currently. And yeah, he's been fantastic since he's come to QPR. Maybe he did have an appearance back for Boro in 2021. He was obviously a youth player at Boro, I believe, but he's netted 9 goals this season for QPR, which is really impressive for a guy who's come out of the lower leagues. And you could say the same for Cornet as well. I mean, to be fair, Cornet, Richard Cornet from Wycombe was a player who a lot of championship clubs wanted. I mean, I was one who would have loved him at Boro, to be fair. So kudos for QPR for getting him in. So they've picked out 2 really good pieces of recruitment here, QPR. Two forwards from League One who've come in, and thus far they've got 15 goal contributions between them. Burrell, 9 goals, 1 assist. Cornet, 4 goals, 1 assist. So of the 15 goals that they've both contributed towards, that is almost half, just above half of all of QPR's goals. So yeah, they're the 2 danger men, I think, in front of goal that Boro have got to be wary of, but they do have a decent number of creative players in behind them. There's a lot of players who all have 2 assists, so they're sharing the assists around, but Koki Saito is one of them. He has a good number of assists, 2 assists from wide areas. So yeah, Matson as well, another midfielder who has 2 assists too. So yeah, they don't have too many players who are recording a giant number of assists, but they have got 2 centre forwards who are putting their chances away. So they are definitely the 2 danger men that Boro have got to be wary of. As for the Boro 11, well, to be honest, I've gone with the same 11 that I wanted to see at Charlton. And the only difference in that 11, it's the same 11 that, of course, we saw against Hull. The one change we saw that was made was David Strelets out for Delano Bergsog, of course, due to what I believe was illness at Charlton. So I'd just revert back to the side that we saw at Hull. I think if Strelets is back fit, he simply has to start alongside Conway. McGree and Whittaker are on fire right now. It's probably harsh to drop Gilbert as well. He's put 2 really good performances in alongside Hackney. I mean, maybe you want to reintroduce Luke Ayling into the defence. That would probably mean, I guess the only change would be Alfie Jones moves to the left, Britton, and Bangura remain, because they've both been so good. You don't change either of them. The only change might be Jones moves over to the left, Ayling slots in at right centre-back. That's the only change I can see being made, but I guess at the minute, the old cliche, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You keep it as is, to be honest. It would be harsh on target, I think, and he does give us a good balance on the left, being a left footer. So it's one of them. There's players who've been picked. They've took their chance. A lot of players coming back from injury. They're going to have to work hard to get back into this team, because at the minute, it's a Boro side that is playing well and winning games. And for me, you can't change much in this team. I think you just bring David Strelets back in, if, of course, he is back from the illness that we believe he was suffering from midweek. And to be honest, something nasty is going around, because I've also got a bit of an illness and have done for a good week. So hopefully he recovers a lot quicker from his illness to what I have mine. Finishing off, though, with our predictions. I think QPR will prove to be a really, really tough test. And they're coming off the back of a big result. Like I say, they'll be coming here with confidence, and they have got some really good players. Boro will, as we've seen under Hellberg, attack. So they will get chances on the counter, and they probably will get chances on the transition. But Listen, the way we're playing at the minute, the way we're attacking, the way we're creating and scoring goals, paired with what already was a really good home record for Boro. 9 games at home, 6 wins, 2 draws, only the 1 defeat to Coventry. We've actually been really good defensively at the Riverside, only 9 goals conceded. That's, I think, the 3rd best or the 4th best in the Championship as well. QPR's away record's decent, hit and miss, 4 wins, 2 draws, 4 defeats on the road. They have shipped a decent number of goals on the road, those 16 goals they have let in. So, yeah, for me, I still think Boro will just have enough to get by QPR, but I do think it will be a tough competitive game. And for that reason, I would love to see a Boro clean sheet. I really thought we'd get it against Charlton, but I don't think it's going to come quite yet. I'm not too sure why. So I'm going to go with a Boro win, somewhere in between Hull and Charlton. I'm going to go Boro 3, QPR 1. I was going to say 2-1, but I'd like it to be a bit more comfortable than that. So I'm going to go Boro 3, QPR 1, but it could be Boro 2-1 up, and we hit them on the break later on with QPR, chasing an equaliser. I don't think it's going to be Boro blowing QPR away as such, although we have blew 2 sides away in the first half of our last 2 games, essentially. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'll go with 3-1 Boro, and as always, I'll be back over the weekend to review whatever happens at the Riverside. But if you've enjoyed the video, guys, hit a like on the video, subscribe for more, hit the bell too so you never miss when a video drops here on the YouTube channel. Comment below whether you're a Boro fan, QPR fan, in the comments with your thoughts, predictions on this one. And yeah, I look forward to reviewing the game at the weekend and hopefully it being a 4th win in 4 for Kim Hellberg's Reds. But until then, thanks for watching, guys. Do take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.